Okay, episode 2.
Episode 2. Are we going to say that every time?
No, maybe not.
Okay. All right, great. All right, so I have a question for you.
Okay.
Well, it's always our question. We have one question.
Question of the week.
Question of the week. What was your most impactful learning from this week?
This week it was the importance of balance in personal and business. And I think the reason why I chose that one is because it
break that down more. Hold on.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I think the importance of balance is it's very important because it's responsible for growth and rest. Like just the importance of growth versus rest. You have to have a good balance.
He really wants to be a part of this.
He does.
He really is excited about this.
Yeah.
Dobby only knows.
Balancing dog life,
mom
parenting.
life. Yeah, that's good.
Is that broken down enough for you?
Yes, but I have a question.
Okay, what's the question?
I have a question for the question. Do you feel like balance is a healthy concept?
Yes.
Okay. I disagree.
Would you like to know why?
I do want to know why. I disagree, but go on.
Well, I think balance is important because you get lost in one or the other.
I think if you want to do anything well, you have to be unbalanced.
Explain.
I think if we try to...
So you're telling me the thing I learned this week is wrong?
No, I just...
2 weeks in a row?
This is so good for today's topic. I can't even wait. Well, I think that if you're trying to balance, balance is like unachievable. So I think that having your main things, your core priorities is really important, and then going all in on those core priorities.
Yeah, but let's say you end up with 2 core priorities.
Well, you
have to have good balance between those, right? Like
no, because it's like seasonality. It's like some weeks and sometimes you're going to be all in on one, and then the other one will like get a little less of you. But I think maybe it's how you see balance. So if it's a day by day basis, we are never balanced. Wouldn't you agree?
But I think you just answered that correctly, because I think day to day it's never that way, but big picture you have to have balance or it creates chaos. Like if you don't have like the proper mixture of anything, it doesn't come out right. Like you can't make pancake mix without water. You can't do it if it doesn't have the right mixture. True. Like I think what you're saying is correct.
They're not equal. You're not saying balance is equal. Like you're not saying that I give the exact same amount. No. Like to you, balance isn't I give the exact same amount to my marriage, to my kids, to like this weekend, we like no kids stuff. We literally did like date stuff all day. Yesterday we did date stuff. Today we did not parent well this weekend.
No, but we did okay. We picked up the kids instead of doing just a date. We took them with us. But I think back to our subject.
We haven't talked about the subject yet. Don't go there yet. Go on.
No, the subject of balance.
Oh, of balance. I'm being bossy today. Go ahead.
You are. I think you need to take some rest.
Oh, okay.
You need some balance.
Okay, go on.
Man, you're argumentative today.
I'm a little spicy.
So, put your flame out.
No, it's your job to actually what's that? Flame my embers. What? Fan the
blow
flame.
You? I don't know.
Don't go there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Fan the flame.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go on. Balance.
You lost me at balance.
I'm sorry.
Anyway. This was supposed to be a simple answer.
I'm so sorry.
Balance and the importance of rest and growth.
Okay.
But I think you,
Oh, I missed the whole first part of it.
yeah, because you weren't listening.
I didn't use your learning lesson from last week.
No, you didn't.
Listen first. Okay. That's a great, yeah. Balance between rest and growth. I agree completely. I take back my rebuttal.
Okay, thank you.
There does have to be balance, not on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, but I think like you said, I think you put it the hammer right on the nail, or whatever that saying is, that it's not like you have to have the same amount of these two things. It just has to be balanced, and to each person it's going to look different.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Like, balancing family life and business and this or that, you have to have a good balance of that. Or if I spend more time on the family than I do on my business, or not enough time on my business, like, it's not equal, right? So if I spend more time, if I spend my time almost always on my family, my business could fail.
Totally.
If I spend all my time on my business, my family could fail, or dynamics within those things won't work.
Yeah.
So there has to be enough balance. Doesn't have to be equal. I don't need to spend 8 hours with my kids and 8 hours with my wife and then 8 hours sleeping. It just has to be enough.
That's good.
Has to be enough. It's like, what weighs more, a pound of brick or a pound of feathers? They both weigh a pound, but one is more dense and one, it just depends on what takes up more space.
That's actually a great way to look at balance.
Okay.
All right. I like that. I'm gonna ponder that. That's actually such a great analogy for balance and how to do balance healthy. Genius. Yeah, because it takes up so much. It's such a different space. The circumference is so different. I don't know if that's the right word.
Circumference. It's around something. Is balance a ball or a circle?
Yeah, like the space. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not a math girl. I shouldn't use math words. But the amount of space and time that feathers versus like a pound of bricks is like literally nothing.
Yeah, it would be the density or the mass.
The mass. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, the amount of space that it takes up.
If you guys need math advice, don't ask me.
Yeah, so like
okay.
if you compounded bricks together, it doesn't,
Yeah, it's like one brick.
But if you compounded a pound of feathers together, it would probably be a huge ball.
Yeah.
Because it would take so much feathers to create a pound.
Yeah. No, that is like such a great mind blown. That's powerful. That like reframes balance for me, honestly.
Okay, and that's it for this week's episode.
I've always struggled with that word. That like obviously this is not rehearsed, so I am mind blown in this moment. But I've always struggled with the word balance, and we actually talk a lot about that at Impact Initiative. And we're always like ragging on balance, but that reframes it in a different way. It's very brilliant.
Yeah, and you like completely like sideswipe me on the question, so I don't remember what the question is.
Oh, what was most impactful learning this week?
Yeah, so for you, what was that? What is your answer? What would your answer be?
Well, the most powerful learning right now. That is really good. Outside of that, I think I had to relearn this lesson again. This is a constant. Was focusing on the problem never gets you to the solution.
Focusing on the problem
never gets you to the solution. You actually have to dream and envision the solution to get to the solution.
So you think you don't have to think about the problem?
No, but like we know the problem. Like so many times, like this week, we knew the problem. We know the problem. And I just keep talking about the problem and reminding us of the problem and getting frustrated about the problem. And then guess what? There's no solution because we're not talking about what's possible. We're talking about what is.
So you're saying staying focused on the problem doesn't get you to the solution.
Correct.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think that's one area where I work on a lot because I tend to be, I don't want to affirm that in myself, but I tend to be problem focused. I see a problem and I see everything that could go wrong with every situation,
Yeah.
and I hyper focus on that problem, and instead of becoming hyper focused on what the solution is.
Yeah, most of the time, I think it's important to outline the problem
Mm-hmm.
to find the solution. But I think the focus, I think you had a better word for it. The focus, when the focus becomes the problem, or when you focus on the problem, we just get sucked in. And then we never are talking about what's possible because we're so focused on what is. And I feel like that was this week. I feel like there's been a couple of things this week in business and within our marriage that we just consistently talk about the problem instead of talking about, we already know what's not working. Like, what could work? What is going to get us to the solution? And it just reaffirms it. So I think that was mine.
Yeah, and that was kind of the same thing surrounded behind last week's argument, right? Or a couple weeks ago's argument around sushi.
Sushi.
I kept asking you the question because I was trying to find a solution, but you kept focusing on the problem,
Mm-hmm.
which is not something you typically do. So
It's not.
I kind of pushed you into the corner, though, to kind of do that. Like, I think that kind of goes with our topic today, talking about how we get to the same point but different paths, right?
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about that. I'm so excited for this conversation. And I think this has to be the first actual episode where we really get into it because vision has transformed our life. So today we're going to be talking about, I totally forgot our topic. Hold on. We came up with a really great title, so I'm going to look at it. I don't typically use notes, but I want to nail it. Same page, different paths. How a clear vision keeps family decisions and sanity in check. So yeah, same page, different path. That's what I was trying to remember. So I think this is something that has made our relationship really, really good in times. It's also put a not understanding when we're on the same page, different path, because we do this a lot. I think we a lot of times are on the same page with very different path. Like, we go about things very different. The how we get to a result or achieve something is so epically different most of the time that I think that it feels like we're on different pages. So I want to get into it. So how no, that's not my question. Tell me of a time you feel like we were on the same page, but we were taking wildly different paths.
I think all the time. But I think it's in every decision, I feel like we're kind of on the same page. It's like we speak the same language, but in a different dialect, or it's in a different dictionary, right? Like, I think we're on the same page with parenting, with the way that we raise our kids, with the things that we want in life, when it comes to travel and new experiences, things like that. But you're more of a jump and do it girl, and I'm a planner. So I think that's where we feel like we bump heads, and we're speaking the same language, but you're more of the person who's like, do you want to speak on the Florida house, or do you want me to speak on it, or does it matter?
Is that your example?
No, but I know that's kind of a key thing. Like, you would love to just pack everything up or sell everything and just move somewhere else. East Coast.
No, so much so that I was literally stuck in Florida a couple years ago. Do you remember this?
Yeah, but I mean, you weren't planning on moving there then.
No, I was.
You were planning on staying there.
No, I literally was at the point. This is how, if your brain didn't work differently and you didn't get to the same place with a different how, right? A different way. I literally wouldn't have come back to Colorado. I would have never, I was at the point, if I didn't have someone on the other side, and this really serves me sometimes, and then it really does not in other times. So I think that it is like completely. It's 100% completely and totally God's plan that he paired me with someone like you, because I literally was laying in bed at 5 o'clock in the morning and I was about to just rent a house. I was there. I had like the application and I was like, I'm not going back. I'm literally not going back to Denver. And I called you. I was ready to like hit submit. I was sure. I was like, sell our shit and come to Florida. Get on a plane. We'll figure it out. And you were like,
There's a hurricane.
I was like, no, I was stuck in Florida. And I was like, I think we should move to Florida. You're like, yeah, that's a nice idea. And I'm like, no, like now. I don't want to come back. We should just sell everything or just pack up a U-Haul, hire a crew, pack up the U-Haul. And you're like, I don't have a job. I don't have my business set up there. And I'm like, doesn't matter. We have enough to live on for just a little bit and then we'll be fine. We'll figure it out. And you're like, no. And I'm like, he doesn't want the same things as me. My life is over. He doesn't get me. He doesn't want the same things with me. And like, you weren't saying that. Never. I don't think it's a no. And I don't think we want to move to Florida. We want a beach house. We want I
want to be near the water.
Yes,
somewhere.
we want a beach house, but it never was a no. You weren't like, absolutely not. I will never do that. You were like, take a beat. Let's think about this. Let's make a plan. Let's make sure that this makes sense. Our kids are in school. Like, there's so many things that have to happen before I just hire a crew to pack up a U-Haul and get a place. And I was like, no, it's really possible, which it probably is. We could do it today.
Yeah, we could, and it would work itself out. Like, we've been through enough stuff in our marriage, times where we hit a roadblock and we thought both of us were kind of stuck. Like, we both lost our jobs at the same time. we went for Christine's birthday. We went to Glenwood Springs. If you guys haven't been to Colorado, it's a place you have to go to. Hot Springs, so cool. So the place you have to see, top 10.
It's amazing.
Anyway, we went there for her birthday. We spent an amazing weekend there. We even got gifted a free night, so we stayed one night extra. Came back home to find out we both lost our jobs. And we had one child at the time, so we kind of freaked out. But so we know that it's gonna work itself out. Like one door closes, there's another door that's already open.
Totally.
We aren't looking because we're in panic mode. We're too focused on the problem, not the solution, right?
Yeah. So if that's the example, I think that we can look at that and be like, oh, it's not a no, but it looks very different. Like, if we were both single, we might get to the same place, but it's not, it looks very different. And even within communication, because sometimes I feel like you slow me down and I get really frustrated. And then I'm sure I want you to, I do. I feel like you slow me down sometimes and it makes me mad. And then
I see the issue.
You see the problems, which is good. I always talk about when we're healthy, you're my safety net, not my bag of bricks, but my safety net. And I'm like, Cliff. And you're like, you should probably have a parachute or something. And I just like jump. And then you are my safety net because you throw a parachute or drop a net at the bottom so I don't like smash into the ground. You make my wildlife possible in a lot of ways. But what is that like on the other side? Because I'm sure on my side, I'm like, you're stopping me, you're slowing me down. But on your side, that's probably has a whole nother experience.
Yeah.
What is that like?
It honestly, it feels, so we're talking about kind of like that same thing, right?
My path. Like, how does my path influence you?
I feel like, because if you're talking about in a negative point, like I slow you down, you're talking about something that's not really true, right?
You do slow me down.
Oh, I do slow you down.
You do. So I'm not saying it's a bad
But it
thing.
sounds like a bad thing though. Like,
no, it's not a bad thing when you're like, I like hit the, actually, I have, I have a problem with speeding. I've had lots of tickets and I'm immature and I get in trouble and almost went to jail one day with our children in the car. It was a really scary experience. And you have told me for years, slow your ass down.
And wear your seatbelt.
So the reality is you slow me down.
Okay. If I think of it that way, the other way kind of offended me. I was like, wait a minute.
I know, I saw it.
Wait a minute. Cut the rope. Like, let's talk about this, like,
yeah,
it sounded kind of like more like non-integrous, like you slow me down, like
sometimes
you slow me down, boy, like.
No, you do though. Like sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes you slow us down in the wrong way. Sometimes you slow, most of the time it's good. Most of the time it's good. But a lot of times you slow me down. Period.
Okay, I don't know. I know how to take that.
Most of the time you're like, we have to think about this and I get mad.
But I mean, if I look at it in that light, yeah, if we're talking about that, I can pick out times like that, like where you do something like that, where it's like, man, it's like I have a teenage daughter. I'm trying to raise like 4 kids. And it's like, I have to watch your budget. I have to watch your speed. I have to like tell you what not to eat or not to drink or.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, that one you can take off your list.
Which one?
Telling me what I can eat or drink.
No, but I'm saying like in our history, right? Like you got a speeding ticket a year ago now. So like we're not talking about stuff that happened.
We didn't
today.
have to put a date on it. We didn't have to go that public.
No, but things like that. It's like I'm always thinking of the good and the bad. Like,
yeah,
sometimes the good comes with the bad. So when I think about, hey, you need to slow your ass down, it's like, hey, your children need a mother for one. Like, don't go out and kill yourself in a car accident.
Totally fair.
They say like 1 out of 95 people will die in a car.
That's terrible.
That is a terrible thing.
Let's not talk about that.
No, but when you hear that, like it freaks me out, right? So I start analysis paralysis. It kind of stops me from wanting to do things extreme. Like I grew up snowboarding and riding motorcycles and, being kind of a jump kid. And once you have kids, it like changed for me. Like,
yeah, for you, not for me.
Yeah, for me it did. But it's like a father is like, it's like it changed. Becoming a father like changed everything for me.
Yeah, it changes a lot, but I don't think I've slowed down just because I had kids or like became more careful. That's not. So what you're saying is it's a lot of pressure for you to have a go girl, have a yes girl, a full throttle. Yeah. It's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
It feels heavy.
Yeah, because for me too, change isn't always comfortable for me. Like I'm a lot better at it and I can adapt very easily to any environment I get put into. But change is not always been my comfort zone. Sometimes hasn't always been.
No, sometimes you can adapt.
Sometimes I can adapt.
Unless we're at a fine dining restaurant.
Well, it's because it's bullshit, really.
Country clubs are fine. Fine dining.
Country clubs are too. Like it's
whatever. You play the game at a country club. You don't like fine dining. Well, we don't have to go into it. That's a whole nother.
You brought it up.
You know what? We're gonna do
episode 27.
We're gonna do a whole episode on fine dining versus country clubs. Anyways.
Okay.
We're not going there right now. Okay. So
So how do you equate that from going to the same place? Like the question was like us getting to the same place, kind of different paths.
Yeah. So I think that what has helped us, and if we'd use it more and integrate it more, it would help us more, is vision. Having a clear shared vision for our family has helped us, because the reality is we're not on different pages, minus speeding. You definitely do not want me to speed, but you would definitely let me be a race car driver.
Oh, for sure.
Like you would but that's what I mean. I think that a lot of times we are going to the same place. We just get there wildly different ways. It's like a different
Yeah.
path or speed. I think for us it's mainly like a speed point because I'm like, go. And you're like, just freaking take a
Like,
beat,
pump the brakes.
woman. Like, breathe like that. But I think you do slow me down. You are my safety net, and I like kick you in the ass or like pull you a little bit because I go so fast. You kind of have to keep up with me, which on both sides, I think it does put some pressure, but pressure creates diamonds. And I think that we have this whole podcast is about sharpening each other. I think in a lot of ways, we have sharpened each other because of our speed. And most of the time, I would say we don't really go after it differently in a certain way. Never a dull moment. But I think it's not like, I don't know, with parenting or something. It's not that it really isn't that we're on different pages. It's that we really do go about it differently. Like even with our boys, discipline very much can look the same, or we're like, we want the same for our kids, but I think we get there. Like time is a big deal. I think that is we see time very different. Wouldn't you say?
Maybe elaborate on that more. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, I think I just have a tendency to go fast, and like, I think it was Gary Vee or some shit you were listening to a couple of years ago, and you're like, the construct of school actually doesn't create, I don't know, like what's your concept on like getting to school on time and how like the rush and
yeah, the whole, I mean,
I don't
I don't know what you're talking about for sure, but the whole idea behind school is they're trying to create workers, right? They're not trying to create people they're not teaching people to think for themselves.
Yeah.
They're teaching them to, hey, when the bell rings at this time, you got to be on time. You go to each and every station at a certain time, and then you get off at a certain time. So they're not creating individual free thinkers. That was my idea on it, I guess. I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
100%, which I agree. I agree 100%. But specifically since you heard that, and we've talked a lot about this, I'm from education. Like this is a big deal for us. But I think that all of a sudden you like stopped caring if the kids were on time for school. And that is something that drives me bananas because we wouldn't be late for a meeting, or I don't like to be late for meetings. Like I run late all the time and I'm always scrambling, but it's not because I'm not a free thinker. It's because I don't want to be late. And I suck at time management, specifically getting out of the house. So I think that or getting off a call on time, like I'm really bad at that. That's not a strong suit. I'm always like trying to cram more into time or whatever. But I think that we want our kids, my point is we want our kids to be free thinkers. We want our kids to challenge the system, challenge the constructs, make sure that like they actually are efficient and they're serving us and they're in alignment with us. How we get there is very different. The path, you're like, it's fine if you're late. And I'm like, you have to build these habits now. I want them to be free thinkers. That could be challenging how we show up in time. Also, maybe not. Maybe that's not the construct we push on. So I just think it's different, right? Like we both can agree, the same page is that we want our kids to be free thinkers. How we see that is very different. So based on all of this, my next question is, how do you figure out, or how have we figured out what is different pages and like true conflict and what is just different paths? Because I think it goes back to vision. Like that has been our cornerstone and reattaching or realigning ourselves with that vision. Because I always talk about your vision is your bullseye on the target. And as a family, having that bullseye has been very helpful personally, because we both have our personal vision for our life, and then having a shared vision, which we need to work more on. I think this episode has exposed that for us. I think we're not looking at it. We like refined it even for this because of this episode. But for you, how have you been able to tell if it's just a misalignment in how we go about things versus truly being on the same page or not on the same page, and there's true conflict there? Because some of the things are big, like buying a new house, moving across the country. And then my most recent one was like, let's move to Italy. How do you look at that and go, it's on the same, we're still on the same page. She might want to do it faster.
Yeah.
And you slow her ass down, but we're still on the same page.
That's probably a more difficult question to answer in a short period of time. But I think like I said, I'm very good at like assessing and outweighing like the pros and the cons.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do that for too long, then I get stuck in it. But, you know, like with our values and our standards, we eat dinner at the table every night. So
Yeah.
we ask a lot of questions. We talk to our kids like they're humans. We don't talk to them like babies. We treat them like the men and women that they're going to become, not the children that they are.
Mm-hmm.
So when we through trial and error too, we get to try, hey, I'm going to try this new parenting tactic. I'm just going to see how Christine reacts with it. Like, it's not anything out of this world, but let's try a 3-strike rule, and we'll take their stuff for a day or something, or they'll lose things. So we'll trial and error with things, and then if I see something that I see you doing, I'll be like, hey, what is this new thing you're trying? Or just communication is really key in that. And I think that it really helps to discern what's actually creating conflict and what's not. And when it comes to like the housing thing, like I said, with change for me is really difficult. It's because I'm not thinking of, or I'm not focusing on the idea that we'll figure it out when we get there. Like like that's kind of like your idea. Is like, we'll just sell everything, we'll go there, and we'll figure it out. And sometimes, like in my head, the first instinct that pops up is, well, what problem are we running away from here that we are going there, and we're not going to find that problem there? So I start getting focused on those things, and then I start thinking, well, what kind of job could I get there? Can my business sustain itself here while I move? Or how often will I have to travel back and forth? And is that logical to do something like that? So I start outweighing all these things, and I don't really think that puts us on the different page, because it would be kind of fun to go move to a new place. And I like the idea of being a beach boy for for a season or something.
You're cute at the beach.
Yeah, thank you. But as far as seeing the differences in that, I don't see that. I do get hyper focused on the problem sometimes, but I think when it comes to, I'm losing my train of thought. You just called me cute, so it's getting warm in here. Anyway, the like when it comes to the house, let's go back to that real quick. So you talk about you wanting to just jump and move to Italy. To know the difference between if that's conflict or not. Sometimes when you say stuff like that, I take it with a grain of salt, because you're a jump girl. Like, you don't think about the processes and all the things it's going to take to get there. You just think of just getting there. You think it like you're like Amazon from A to Z. Like, that's about it. Like,
that's so good. I'm taking that.
Yeah.
I'm like Amazon. I go from A to Z.
A to Z, but everything, all the details in between, that you don't even pop up in your brain.
No.
So I'm like a B to Y guy.
Yeah.
That's
good.
So you're like the beginning and the end, and
yeah.
I'm all the details.
Yeah, I'm all vision.
Yeah, you're all vision. I mean, I have visions too, but it's like I have too many, and I assess them all here. And then when we do get out here, I think it's usually when it becomes beautiful. But the same thing for you is like when you have a vision and you actually talk to me about it, and you're not like, this is what we need to do. It doesn't become like chaos, right? Like, And I think that's how we kind of stay on the same page. Like it feels so much different because we're on two ends of the spectrum. Whereas you'll jump without a parachute, and you'll be like, well, I just trust that it'll work. And I'm like, wait. I'm gonna put a parachute on, but I'm also gonna trust that my parachute's gonna open.
Well, I think like I think a lot of times you don't even get, you're like, that's a nice idea. Next thought.
Yeah, because sometimes it doesn't seem logical at this moment. And how we get there, you know, when we do our due diligence and we talk about it and we go through planning and we start planning it, then we find that it actually works, you know. And I think that's when we work well together, is when we're both kind of, you know, balancing out the work for it.
Yeah, I think that it works when we utilize our vision. So I wanna just read our vision. We just redid it. I used to have it memorized, but we just redid it because of this episode. So our family vision is: as a family, we are committed to being healthy, whole, and deeply connected. We trust and support each other, knowing that together we can achieve anything while honoring our dreams and transforming the world around us. So I think like that's been so important. Honestly, I have a lot of tips and tools and things that we've used. I think a lot of times the biggest challenge is the way we communicate. But if we were just to use this more frequently, which I really want to hold each other accountable on this, it's really funny because we were talking earlier about it. It's like we literally would change how we do everything if we just stopped and read this. So if we're committed to being healthy, whole, and deeply connected, one of our biggest fights most of the time, I wouldn't say fights, arguments, irritations, is what we want to eat for dinner or brunch or whatever, right? Eating is a big.
What do you want to eat?
What do you want to eat? What do you want? Meal planning, whatever. So if we just started with this, the conversation would change.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have a vision and mission for your family, because that sets the pace for everything. And I think that's a key reason why we've lasted so long.
It becomes your sifter, right?
It becomes like your North Star, right?
Yeah.
Like you always say, what's your North Star? Like it's our vision. What's our vision for our family? What's like, how do we want to raise our kids? Do we believe in the same things? Do we want kind of a similar life? And even if you don't want the exact same life, like we're together for a reason. And there's, and I think we spoke last week on the culture of like quitting, right? Like,
yeah, that came up.
And if you don't have something like, okay, you're married, you're married, like big deal. People get divorced because they're married all the time because they think it's so easy to quit anything in our society. But if when you get with somebody, one of my theologies, I guess, or ideas, and I don't know the word, but
philosophy.
One of my philosophies, personal, is that when you meet somebody, you're not planning to never be with that person. Like when you fall for someone, you like them, you're like, man, I want to date this person. Like, unless you're an interesting human and you want to go be with like, bunch of people and be a philanthropist in the dating realm or whatever. Like, if you don't want to be with like a serious relationship, then this is not for you. But if when the majority of people meet somebody, they're not thinking, well, when this is over, I'll find that next person.
Yeah.
So when you meet that person, don't do that.
I'm so sorry.
When you meet that person, like you and I, when we met, we weren't looking for anybody. I had friends telling me to date girls or whatever, but I wasn't ready. But when I met you, like something hit me, right? So when we met, I didn't think, hey, I didn't want to be with you forever. I didn't really think about forever, but I wasn't thinking about the end. I wasn't focused on the end. So like coming up with a family vision and a mission for your family, that just helps. That's like more of a contract to me than a marriage license, because that's something that goes like your vision and mission is tied to your values in life, and that's tied to like who you are, what's your essence, and it helps to create the person you are in all your relationships.
Yeah.
Like
Well, it helps us stay on the same page. Like, this is the page.
yeah, that's
And
the
then
contract.
yeah, that's a great way to look at it. I like that. I'm going to steal that. I think when we look at this, it's easy to run through our vision and understand, are we on the same page with this decision? Like, if I would have slowed down and been like, is moving in this moment and making Jesse pack up the house and take care of all the details, like, we probably couldn't have done it in a healthy and whole way. If we wouldn't have been whole. We wouldn't have been doing it together. We wouldn't have been I don't want to be honest.
Well, I think
it wouldn't be in like full support of each other, right? Like, that would have been that. And I think that's a big one for us, because I think that sometimes, because of how we do things differently, we can put a lot of pressure on the other person. Like, when you're too far back and you're not moving with me and we're not actually moving together, I'm like dragging you, and it puts all the pressure. It does not feel, we've been talking about this a lot, it does not feel like support. I feel unsupported. But on the other end, when I go too fast, you don't feel supported. Like, that move would have felt so unsupported I would have been like chilling on the beach just waiting for you to come. That would have been great on my part. I would have really enjoyed that.
But yeah, but like when it comes to our like dreaming together, that's not dreaming together.
No.
That's you having a
spastic dream.
A spastic emotion that like really you were driven by like an emotion of the environment, you know?
Yeah.
And I think
that's not healthy or whole.
No, it's not. And we had 3 kids still at that time too, so.
I had one of them, you had 2. With me.
No, but I'm saying we had 3 kids.
We had 3 kids. We had
so we were
3 or 4 businesses. No, well, like,
I know
that was totally kidding. What I was like. Nevaeh and I were in Florida for 2 or more weeks.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but I'm saying like we had 3 kids. Like, now if it was just me and you, we had no children, like that jump would be a little bit easier to make because we're not affecting 3 other individuals' lives.
Yes, you know? But it still wouldn't have been supported. You packing up our whole life,
for sure,
and me just being like, I'm not coming back to Denver. That's like a brat move on my part. I've never really looked at it like that.
But that's what I'm saying. You're like my 15-year-old, and I'm like, no, honey, no, honey, you can't stay in Florida with your bestie. Like, you need to get your booty home. Like, you got things to do here.
And I was like, he's such a jerk. He doesn't even care what I want.
He don't love me.
I was really mad. I've been mad. I've thrown that in your face a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
It's really not funny. I know I laugh, but
well, it's not funny, but we're here. We're still pushing forward.
Honestly, this actually brings a lot of healing. I'm like, in this moment, if I would have just looked at that, I would have been able to take more ownership on that. It probably, it's been the conversation of how we get there and like when those decisions are best suited and what actually serves our family and how we get to do these things.
Yeah, but that's kind of why we decided to do this podcast too, because this is unscripted. You know, we might come up with an idea of what we're going to talk about, but this is for us too. Like, this is something we chose to do to create growth in our marriage. Like, if nothing else comes out of this, this journey in our marriage, I think it's to keep it sharp with one another. We're going to go through things. We're going to talk about things. We're going to get raw. We're going to probably hurt each other's feelings. We're going to fall in and out of love with each other.
I know. I hurt your feelings when I said you were slow.
I know. I was like, wait a minute. I used to run so fast.
You still could run faster than me.
I could always be able to run faster than you. Let's just be real.
Maybe not as long. I have more endurance, bro.
Or your legs are like 10 feet long.
Anyways. Okay. So final takeaways. Like, let's talk. Obviously, it starts with having a vision, but are there any other points in the process that are important when you're trying to understand if you're actually on different pages or if you're just doing it different ways?
I think it always falls back on communication. Excuse me. Communication is key in everything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know in the last episode we talked about slow to speak, quick to listen, but communication is like 90% listening to somebody else
Yeah.
and their needs and their wants. Now, if I think the biggest takeaway, from having a mission and a vision is we came up with that together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, hey, you wrote this mission, like I need you to read this and just follow it and just know that this is what we're doing.
I mean, that could happen.
But it could happen, but those are the things that don't work.
Yeah.
If it's one-sided, it doesn't work. That doesn't create balance either,
Yeah.
Now, if you wrote something and brought it to me and, hey, this is the way I would love to like have our family be. And I was like, no. And you were like, yeah, but typically the way we do it, it makes me really proud of us because we can go through hard shit. We can battle it out, but
yeah,
the biggest thing with that is like, the trick of it is like you come back together faster because you have a roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
It's like as a team, like no team, there's never not a scuffle when you get a group of people together. No. Even if your group is 5 people in an immediate family, like there's always going to be tussle and tug of war and this or that. But there's nothing that you can't unfix if you have a roadmap.
Yeah, and to your point, communication.
Yeah, communication.
Like if you're not communicating it within that pursuit, I think those are the 2 main things. It's having the vision, and the vision. If you've never created a vision for your family, it starts with your vision for your life, and those things are really important. There's a lot of ways to get to that information. That's something that we've had the privilege of having because that's what I do for my job. And in business, everyone knows they need a vision, right? Like most of the time we start with a business vision, but the sad part is you can't actually have a shared vision or a vision for your business if you don't have a personal vision. And that's where it starts. Or like, what is the thing? And that's how we got there with this. Like, what is the thing that you'll never check off? What is your 100-year goal, the legacy that you want to pursue for the rest of your life, the bullseye that you really want, and what do you want most? And then you start to craft those things that are most important. So there's a lot of ways to get there, but I think that then it has to follow. What has to follow is communication, and then I think it's consistency. Like the last piece, I would say maybe you have one more, but I think the last piece is consistency. And having those touch points, we go out a lot. You and I, our kids are older, which is a benefit of having teenagers, by the way.
Or having kids young, because now we're still young.
Yeah, young enough to come home at 9:30 and fall asleep.
But we're still young enough. We're young, and our kids are old enough to watch themselves, where we can go on a date night. We make sure they're fed and taken care of, and then we go.
They actually prefer it.
Yeah,
we don't really want to go. I want to stay home and play with my brother and my friends. But I think that's the point, though, is we can go out and do the things, but we don't always talk about the vision. We don't always start those hard conversations or those big dreams with touching base with the vision. So I think consistency is, and just having it in front of you, having it accessible to where every time, whether it's a moment that you're talking about dinner or what you want to plan as far as food, or you're planning to move across the country or the world, you run it through your vision, because it is a roadmap in a lot of ways. It's the target and the roadmap, and mission allows you to get there a little bit more. But if you have nothing else, if you build nothing else, that vision for your family, I think, is really important. And then communicating often and consistently, I think, has been our greatest downfall and our greatest success factor. I think that has saved our marriage in a lot of ways. And it has, in the moments when we don't do it, if you would have just started with looking at the vision, we wouldn't have fought about sushi.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, but in reality, it's like, we're too comfortable to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So the really, like I said last week, it wasn't a big deal. If I would have just went with the flow, like you said, you wanted something, and
If you would have just honored my dreams, like it says in the vision,
yeah,
you would have realized that sushi is a very healthy option, and then we could have achieved more together. Then there would have been transformation for the world because Christine got sushi.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
It's like the one guy, I don't remember his name, but he said, in marriage, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Yeah. No, but I that's a whole nother topic. We won't get into that.
Yeah.
I highly disagree with that because it's not about being right. And it's not about just conforming to the wrong.
You just asked me to conform.
No. How?
You said if Christine gets what she wants and she's happy.
No, I said if you would, no, then the world's
Listen.
happy. Then I could have transformed the world. Would have been on the end of it. I'm just kidding. We're being off topic. Okay, anyways, that might go down in the book as our dumbest fight ever.
Which is, in relationship, most of your fights are really, really dumb and a waste of time.
Well, they are, but I think it also, it's the fight is always stupid because it's always over something stupid, but the meaning is usually a layered effect of where you feel like your needs aren't getting met.
Yeah.
So, anywho, have a vision.
Communication.
And then consistently make sure it's consistent and you're touching in and you're having those conversations.
Yeah, I like that one. I like consistency.
I think with starting with vision too, this is the last thing I'll say about it. But starting with vision, I think one of the things that I have realized is that most fights or most challenges are because somebody won't say what they want. So if you start with vision, it's already based on what you've both said you want. And therefore it starts being like you start the conversation being solution focused versus problem focused. And it allows us to move forward already. Because so many times fights are like, I'm manipulating you because I don't actually want to say what I want. So I'm trying to get you to say what I want. I'm like we watched that video today that was like, I might break up with my boyfriend because I asked him if he wanted to go for a milkshake and he said,
let's go get you a milkshake.
Let's go get you one. And then that guy said, let me mansplain it. He came in, let me mansplain that she has already been fighting with herself that she wants a milkshake. And so I think a lot of times we're just not bold enough or brave enough to say what we want. So then we try to manipulate someone. Oh, do you feel like a milkshake versus saying, I'm going to go get a milkshake. Would you like to join me? Then all of a sudden you're the bad guy and I get to blame you. Yeah.
But I think that this would be a whole nother episode, is falls into a man allowing a woman to practice her feminine energy. I think that women are so good at thinking about everything, right? You might not think about all the details, but you think about everything. You think about the kids, your job, the husband, the car, the dog, the house, now you got to dust on top of the fridge, and men don't think about that stuff. That's a whole different thing. But I think, talking about that, if we're talking the differences between people, husband and wife in particular, Friday night, she doesn't want to think about where she wants to go for date night. You just take her to date night.
Yeah.
She doesn't care where you take her. You could take her, I don't know if you eat fast food or whatever, but literally, if she's your wife and she loves you, you can take her you can take her for a walk. Mm-hmm. She just doesn't want to think about it.
Yeah, that's a huge one. I think to that point though, part of what we're talking about is when we're pursuing our vision, the different path can outline the different roles that you have too, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it looks like you have different paths because you actually play different roles in achieving the vision. Mm-hmm. So therefore, if you actually are in the role, your highest best, what I call a genius zone, when you both are clear on those roles, it should look like you have a different way of getting there, right? Because you're the details guy. I'm the vision girl. And together we work better But if you're in my seat and I'm in your seat, it gets a little messy. Like sometimes those things co mingle or like intertwine. But I think a lot of times what happens is we're not actually stepping into our roles. Feminine, masculine, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But those roles, or we're blaming each other for those roles.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to do all the jobs. Everyone's trying to do everybody's job. And it's like, even though the roles are like they're unassigned or they're invisible, but they still exist, right? Like you need to step inside of that and take ownership
and honor the other person's role. That's my biggest downfall, is I don't honor your role. If I just honor your role of slowing us down and making it more calculated and a better experience, thinking through, simplifying, I like, we could do more together and we could enjoy it. But because you step into your role and I'm like, he doesn't want what I want, like, I get so mad.
Yeah, you know what though? This is just a thing that popped up now. Is does it probably help you to think about my slowing down? I'm coming up with policies and procedures of everything, right? Like think of it as a business. And the times in our businesses when we actually created policies and procedures, they ran better.
Totally.
You know, so it's not just a business thing, it's everything. So for me, I'm creating policies and procedures in all aspects of life. And you're like, I'm just gonna go like get the cow, you know? Like you're not thinking of, you gotta feed it grass, you gotta give it water, you gotta make sure it has place to roam, and you gotta give this thing time. You can't just like have nothing and then have a calf or a cow and have beef on the table now.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
I know.
And if there's no vision initially, there's no cow on the table ever.
Yeah, for sure.
So we need each other. And that's typically it. So
yeah, if you had two people with the same exact, like two jumpers, it'd be so dangerous. Or two processors, like two of this. That's why I think God puts you with someone who's opposite of you, because it creates balance.
Oh, and we brought it back to balance. Yeah, you can't. Two planners would never do anything.
No.
And two jumpers would just be mad chaos.
Yeah, mad chaos. I mean, it could work. Not saying it couldn't work. So, like, if you're with somebody who's like that, not saying that you can't make it work, because I'm sure there are people out there who are like that. But typically, most of the people that we know, they're not the same.
No, most of the time, I think that there's some difference there. There's someone who, and it might not look exactly like us. That's hopefully right.
Yeah,
like
but that's
everybody
okay.
has.
This is our story.
Yeah, so. And there could be. You might even have like different words for this. But, all right. Any last thoughts? I think we're like totally over in time, but it's fine.
Probably, but time is a construct. I'm just kidding.
Time
is not real. I'm just kidding.
We also talked about that. Final thoughts on this.
Final thoughts. I just fall back into the ideology behind balance and commitment. Like we got into it at the beginning about balance being. You said you didn't like it, but I think you're starting to come around.
I am. You've changed my mind a little bit.
But the idea of balance is like I think you see it as like that old-fashioned scale where they weigh the same.
Yeah. Whereas
it doesn't have to weigh the same. It just has to feel balanced.
Yeah.
Like I know work-life balance could be BS, but to be able to thrive in both of those areas, like if you choose to be married or a father or a mother, or to have a marriage, you have to be able to create boundaries that create balance. And then with that, we have to have conversations. We have to create a contract, a vision, a mission. You have to be committed to the process too. Like I said, you don't start something and start planning its demise. Like you start it and you want it to succeed. Like anybody who starts a business isn't thinking, well, I'll just make $1,000 a month and I'll be good. Usually real people who start businesses, they're like $1 million by Friday, like And that's great. Like, I think you should have you should have a vision that's like that. Like you said, the bullseye. You should know that bullseye, and you should do your best to stay on that path to get there. I think it takes commitment and communication, but it has to be with whoever you're involved with, your spouse, your business partner, your friends, your kids.
Yeah.
Ooh, jinx.
We finish each other's sandwiches.
You sure?
Yeah, that's
What about you? You have any final thoughts or takeaways from today's message?
Well, takeaways, maybe balance isn't bad.
You get you a shirt that says that.
Yeah, probably. Of course I would not like balance, but yeah, I think final takeaway is just honor your spouse's gift and make space for their gift. I think so many times, I'm talking to myself 100%. So many times we as spouses, or in relationship in general, we make the other person wrong for being different and having a different way of going at things. And just make room. It's not our job to change the other person. Your only job in marriage is to love that person. It's not your job to grow them or make them better. It's not your job to get them to have the same path as you. It's not your job to tell them if they're right or wrong and condemn them for when they mess up or keep them accountable. It's your job to love them well.
That's
good. So many times I make you wrong for your gift instead of making room for your gift. And so I think that's it. Like that is going to be my takeaway and my goal for this week I just want to make room for your gift. So I need to have more goals so you can plan them.
No, that's really good because I struggle in that arena too. Like I feel like I'm really good at praising you and things like that. But sometimes when it's your gift, it creates like a sense of being left behind or something. Like, you work with people like that in your business and you help them elevate and grow. And, I do the same thing, but to their kitchen. I put like their vision of like a nice house or something, or their dreams, like things that, is just a dream, and I help put those together. But I don't do that for you as well. So I'll work on that as well.
That's great. Look, we have our goals for this week.
Yay.
We'll let you know how they go. All right. Well, if you can do us a favor, and if you know a couple that is struggling, overwhelmed in life, and overwhelmed in the process of trying to continue to grow and keep it all sharp, please share this podcast. This is our first official episode where we're hopping into it. So we really need help sharing the word. And another way that you can help us out is rating this podcast and subscribing. If you need help understanding how to set up a vision, please drop us a comment. I have lots of tips and tools that can help you and your spouse create a vision for your family. Or if you are looking to create a vision, mission, core values for your business, you can hop over to Impact Initiative and we can help you with that too. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. We will see you for another episode next week on Never a Dull Moment.
Bye.